Hey guys, it's Cynthia. Some of you know me as Mama Mess of Complete and Utter Mess, a creative playground. And today I'm going to show you how I make these swirled cabochons. It's a really fun and easy project. I can't wait to get started. Now, to make one of these swirled cabochons, you'll need a cabochon mold. Any mold will do. Some leftover scrap clay. Leftover cane pieces work really well for this. A clay blade, a clay scraper, a little bit of cornstarch and some swabs, a clear acrylic sheet. But if you don't have one of these, then a clear glass plate will work, or you can even use a ceramic tile in a pinch. Now, one of these swirled cabochons starts with your regular old everyday swirly bead. And, I've just gotten a big kick out of this because I've had so many people ask me to show how I make them. And it looks so self-explanatory to me, but I guess it's not so self-explanatory. So there's lots of videos out there on how to make a swirly bead, but just in case you're a real beginner, we'll make one. We'll make one now. Show you how it's done. So I start with just a regular ball of clay. It's just some leftover white clay that I had, and I'm going to take some cane that I have left over, and I'm going to get a pretty good slice of that. I like to do it pretty thick because I do like to sand and buff my pieces. So, I don't want to sand and have the color come right off. So, and I am going to stick that onto the ball. And then I am going to take a few slices of this green, little green cane that I had. And a few slices of this black and white cane, which is almost like a lace cane. I'll put one on the top and one on the bottom. There we go. And so you can see that this white is kind of very, very soft. And so I'm going to take a minute to roll this and get my cane slices almost as soft as the white, or at least warmed up. Okay. Now the other thing that I want to show you is that I've sort of divided the ball in half. I've gone a little bit over the halfway point with these cane slices. But if I take this and swirl this way, not much is going to happen. If I take this and swirl this way, not much is going to happen. If I swirl this way, then these cane slices are going to come into this plain white color and make a pattern. Now I've got my cane slices, adhered to my ball of clay. And, I'm got them pretty softened up. So now I'm going to take my clear, I'm going to pull the camera out a little bit here to make sure you can see both my hands. But I'm going to take my clear acrylic sheet and I'm going to hold it by the edges right out here. And I'm keeping my pinkies on the surface. And I'm rolling. I'm going to roll in the same direction every single time. I'm rolling away from myself. It sometimes takes a while, but if you give it a little time, let me get some stuff out of my way here. That will begin to swirl into a pattern for us. As you can see, it's already starting to make a pretty interesting pattern. And you just keep going. Some people call these centennial beads because the feeling is that you have to swirl at least 100 times to get the pattern that you want. And I'm going to bring the camera down here so you can see that it is starting to swirl. We are starting to get a swirl. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and continue to swirl this bead. And when I've finished, I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've been swirling my bead for a while, and as you can see, it's made an interesting pattern in here. And I'm just going to show you how to just finish this off. So when I am swirling the bead to make the pattern, again, I keep my pinkies. I'm gonna lift my camera up a little bit here so you can see. I keep my pinkies right on the surface, and I roll in the same direction, and I roll pretty quickly. I roll pretty quickly. Now, every now and again, I stop and I look, and when I get to the point where I like the way the cab looks, I actually will slow down and flatten that out a little bit. And then what I do is I give it a couple of extra twists, just a few little extra twists there. And so, you know, you're left with you're left with this lentil bean shape. And now what I do is I grab a cabochon mold and I take a look at all the shapes, and I make a decision about, you know, which shape I think this might look good in. And so for this one, I think I'm going to go ahead and use a triangle. Triangle or circle? Let's see. I guess I will. For this time, I'll just go with the circle. And so all I'm going to do is just kind of squeeze this up a little bit so that it's about the same size as this circle, so I can have some idea of what that's going to look like. Decide which parts of it I really want to show up and which parts of it, you know, I could do without. So I think I like that. I'll go ahead and press that into the cabochon mold. And I've put some cornstarch in the cabochon mold to make it a little bit easier to demold. And then I'm going to take my clay scraper and get rid of the excess, just like that. Push that back down into the cabochon mold. And then, you know, lots of times I would just leave this right in here and cure it right inside the mold. That way I'd be sure not to deform it, but I'm sure you guys want to know what it came out like. And so there you are. There's, you know, a beautiful swirled pattern, you know, in a nice cabochon shape. That's, you know, it's easy for you to, you know, finish the back. I finished the back of this with some PBO paint, and then I used a glue-on spoon bail, or you know, you can even bezel these if you'd like. You can use the Sculpey bezel maker to make a bezel for them, or you can make a wire bezel, or you know, even a you know, silver bezel for that. Now you're left with some beautiful pattern in color, and all I do with that is roll it back into a ball. And then I repeat the process. Just repeat the process again until you get a swirled pattern that you like. This one seems to be taking a little bit. I think I like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and slow down and then twist. Get some more twist in there. Again, take out my cabochon mold. And I think this time maybe we can go with, let's be brave. Let's be brave and go with the oval shape. So again, I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to shape this ball sort of into the general shape of the cabochon mold. Sometimes I pull up a little bit. I don't want all the color to wind up on the back. Press that down. Get rid of the excess clay. Oh, that one popped right out. Hold on a second. Maybe a little too much cornstarch in there. Pop that in there. And there you go. That's a really beautiful one. That's a really beautiful one. I'm going to bring the camera down so you can see that a little bit better. That's a really gorgeous one. I'm really happy with that one. Now, I happen to do this with cane slices tonight, but you know, you can just take some scrap clay that you've got hanging around and you can make some pretty swirled patterns just with the scrap clay. This was left over from Mokumigani. Keeping my hands right on the surface, keeping those pinkies right on the surface. I always seem to need a lot of room when I do this. You know, and this part here is just kind of up to you. You know, you might only want a little swirl, you might want a lot of swirl. And I think I like that. And again, I'm going to give it a couple of extra twirls. Now, actually, these are, you know, bigger pieces of clay that I'm using. I probably should be using a bigger cabochon mold, but they're working out okay. And again, I'm going to get that in the basic triangle shape. And go ahead and push it into the mold. This is quite a bit of clay. Again, use the clay scraper to pull that excess clay off there. And then we'll kind of pop that out. And again, I'll come down a little bit so that it's easier for you to see it. So once you've got them, you know, molded, you cure them at the recommended temperature. for the recommended amount of time. And, you know, then you sand and buff and polish them like you would any other project. And they're just beautiful. They're just absolutely beautiful. They're very striking. I had a great time making these swirly cabochons. I hope that you did too, and I hope you learned something. Please remember to hit like and subscribe, follow us on Facebook, and visit us on www.completeanduttermess.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.